Hey everyone, welcome back to the Superhero Show. I'm Daniel, this is Christopher. I've been with Christopher the last 2 weeks now.
I like it.
More formal.
It's my actual name.
Summer is now over, autumn has reared its...
Or fall, if you're in the States.
Yeah, fall. I was going to do that as an annotation. Yeah, so all the superhero films, apart from one big one, have been and gone.
Yes.
And we wanted to be a bit retrospective and ask, what have we learned, if anything at all?
Yeah, has this summer been educational? And now what we've done, I suggested, Dan, we do this, but without actually telling each other what we've done.
Yeah, probably still three the same points, isn't it?
So if we've got the three same points, I'd be surprised. There's been 4 movies, has there not? There's been 4 movies. We're going to ignore Deadpool too soon. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. I didn't know about the Deadpool rule. I'm glad I didn't write anything about that. So.
Well, if we called it what
I understand.
You know how pedantic they are.
Yeah, so where does summer begin?
I'll be fine, but they go...
If it's summer, then we probably do miss Batman and Superman as well.
I remember getting loads of grief over that Batman v Superman thing.
My points are all fine.
Should we start again?
No, my points are all fine. I'm going first.
Yeah, well, if you want to.
Okay. Unbelievable.
Made it weird now.
Yeah, but come keep going. I no longer care about the X-Men on film.
Oh, that's big.
I just don't care anymore. After really enjoying First Class, and I pretty enjoy Days of Future Past, I feel like it's run out of ideas, steam, and for the X-Men, bizarrely, characters, because we've gone back to the original lot. So I feel like it's lost all momentum. I think it's gone full circle. They did this thing at the end of Days of Future Past where they did kind of a Star Trek, J.J. Abrams move where it's like a canonical reboot. So you can have all the original characters, but you don't know the future and where they're going to go, so you can tell a different story. And I just looked at them all and I just thought, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone has overtaken you. Bizarrely, even though I'm no great fan of the Batman v Superman or Suicide Squad, I'm more interested about watching those films and what they're going to do with that universe. I feel like I just haven't seen anything of that yet, but X-Men, I feel like I've seen it all. I don't know what else you're going to do.
Yeah, the thought of re-watching Apocalypse is not
appealing in whatsoever.
No, whereas I have rewatched Batman and Superman.
And I've seen, I feel partly frustrated that I didn't see the because I reviewed the movie for the site. I feel frustrated that you had McAvoy and Fassbender, and yet their relationship and their dynamic wasn't the centerpiece of that final part of that trilogy. You sidelined both of them in favour of this insipid villain. It could have been a great end to that trilogy, and I would have been really happy with that. But now I feel like you've kind of wasted that payoff, and you've set up something that's less interesting to me.
I can't even remember what they set up. What did they set up?
Well, the new class, in the 90s.
Of course,
and Kinberg said that he wants to, I think, he said it one at least, I don't know if he said a trilogy, but based around, the classic lineup from Claremont, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Nightcrawler and all that.
It's not enough at this point, is it?
Yeah, and it's just...
It feels like the law of diminishing returns with those films.
Which is weird because Days of Future Past was a kind of a surprise, because even on the show we had pretty low hopes for it, and it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was, and it had moments, but I just don't... I've seen everything I think I'm going to see from those characters, and you look at Marvel and they're just so far behind in terms of fun and quality. The Quicksilver scenes are exceptions, but that's all they are. They're set pieces.
Yeah.
Small scenes.
Yeah, it feels like an X-Men movie won't do it now. We need a Deadpool movie, a good Gambit movie, maybe a Quicksilver movie.
Yeah, but I just wonder, as good as Deadpool was, as interesting as those Quicksilver scenes are, is there a wider universe that I'm less kind of enthused about? I don't see what it's building to, because I feel like they don't have a plan. I think at least DC has some kind of plan, and the next 5-6 films planned out.
Yeah.
Whereas Fox, I feel like they're turning every single one. And with the success of Deadpool, I'm sure everything else has been shuffled again. So yeah, I think they lack that bigger picture that I think is what gets me most excited about these films right now. Sorry, there's a bit of a bummer on the...
I agree. I'm worried that all of mine are going to be bummers
downers.
Now.
No, mine are not all.
My first one is a good trailer does not a great superhero movie make.
You've done yours as aphorisms?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
And only so I can say, I told you so. Okay. Because all summer, all year with the Suicide Squad stuff, I've been saying, I've got a bad feeling about this. This doesn't look right.
Yeah.
I said all the way along, I like the songs, and I think they're making the trailer seem better than it is.
Yeah.
And it was cut, they were cleverly cut, but the stuff they were cutting, I was thinking, don't know if I like the look of that. And it looks like the kind of film that's going to give me a headache and a nightmare, but not in a good way. And I felt like that's what it ended up being.
Yeah, you both had a headache and a nightmare in that film.
But equally, you know, I wasn't enamoured of the Deadpool trailers, and yet I really enjoyed the film. So, yeah, don't judge a book by its trailer-focused cover.
Yeah, even though you didn't like the trailer. So, for you, you should.
Judge a trailer. A good trailer does not a great movie make.
There you go. Take that one with you. Yeah, because I really like the trailers, and there's a lot of people did, and it almost seems that was like an influence in reworking the final film in a bizarre turn of events.
Yes.
But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got a lot more to say on that subject, so...
Yeah, so my next point is the pressure is now on DC, but I am hopeful for it. So this is a huge year for them. Like,
I remember you being hopeful for Batman v Superman and hopeful for Suicide Squad.
I'm an optimist.
Yep.
I have a cheery disposition towards these things. I don't want there to be more bad films in the world.
Yeah.
No critic or fan does.
We're both optimists, but I'm a realist.
Yeah.
And you're a fantasist.
Yes, probably. But we'll talk about that later. Yeah, this Man of Steel was its own thing for a long time. Then we found out it was the foundation for a universe. These were two really big films for them for different reasons. One, putting the two most iconic superheroes together in one film. Huge pressure and expectation on that movie. Didn't go so well. Suicide Squad, totally different kind of proposition. Taking these lesser known characters, all villains, how do you make that work? But, as we said on the show, I think Wonder Woman looks great. So, there's a lot of pressure on them to get it right the next time.
A funny thing that's not in my list, but that's made me think of, that so many of us were saying this summer, is, Man of Steel wasn't actually that bad.
Yeah.
But is it because...
I liked it at the time.
Yeah, we both liked it. I think both you and I really liked the first half more than the second half.
Also, I've read this a few times by various critics, and I think this is a good point. Like, I think it's a really good superhero film, and then it's maybe not a good Superman film.
Yeah,
and I think there's a lot to say that it's got great heroic moments.
Yeah,
but just some of the characterization is off for what that character
great scores
is
good
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And there's some great visuals. Like there's a lot of these movies, and I think it doesn't commit a lot of the mistakes that Batman v Superman does. Yeah, there was a bit of a reevaluation of it.
Just funny. I thought of that. So my next one is quality, not quantity.
Okay.
And this is in specifically to do with Batman v Superman.
Okay.
So when you've got a really good storyline, take that storyline and make the movie about it. Don't take 4 different storylines, slam them together and try and make the best of it. Because I would love to have seen a version of The Dark Knight Returns, or a version of The Death of Superman, or a Wonder Woman story teaming up with them, or a Lex Luthor sort of supervillain movie. But by putting all them together, I don't think any of them satisfactorily were told. That story was properly told. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. By including more and more storylines, you compromise each and every one. Like, it almost reminds me like that Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie. Like, it's the death of Gwen Stacy, and yet it is a vehicle to set up multiple franchises. Remember, there was a time, like, it's crazy to think this, now that we've got Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but we weren't far away from a Black Cat movie, a Sinister Six movie, a Venom, Carnage movie, all that sort of stuff going on. So that was an example of like a film that had to support too much, and Batman v Superman became that. Like, it's got to set up all the gods and stuff.
To get it down to a 2.5-hour movie, it doesn't make sense because they cut out so much, as the director's cut showed, and yet I believe that was a worse film. But it makes more sense than what we watched. And so yeah, it's just deeply frustrating because there's the potential for greatness in that movie, but by taking on too much, I think it failed.
Yeah, much like Superman himself. So my final point is this positive one.
Okay.
The Marvel Universe, the one that I grew up reading in comics and watching in cartoons, now finally exists in full on the big screen, thanks to Captain America Civil War. You look at that movie, like we've had 12, 13 of these movies, and we spent time with all of these characters in isolation. There's been some pairing up and some teaming up with the Avengers, most notably. But you look in that film, and particularly that airport sequence, and it just all works so perfectly. It was like a comic coming to life, but not just that, becoming a film. And I thought it was amazing. I just sat back and after that sequence like, this thing now exists entirely in a different medium. And they've taken their time, and this was the payoff. There's beautiful flourishing of that plan. And I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. Interesting. Mine runs on from that a little bit. So my final statement or learning is a great superhero movie needs a great villain.
I feel like your Uncle Ben telling me stuff.
You've interrupted me when I was in mid-flow.
Sorry.
A great superhero movie needs a great villain, or does it? So they've been pretty bad, the villains in this summer's superhero movies. Lex and Doomsday, not good. Enchantress.
Oh, Christ.
Not good. Apocalypse, a massive disappointment. And in Captain America, we had Zemo. And was he a good villain or not? I'm not sure. They managed to have a kind of villain who you could sympathise with and yet shift the focus from him to actually our heroes. And it was a really smart thing. And I bang on about this all the time, that a great superhero needs a great villain, and my favourites normally do. And yet in that one, I felt like they told a really interesting story where he wasn't entirely the protagonist in that story.
Yeah.
The antagonist.
Yeah, of course. The more and more I think about that film, the more times I watch it, the more I think that decision is genius. Like, he is not a grand architect of it. Like, he's not a big, showy antagonist. He's this catalyst that is just setting everything in motion. And I don't think he's in control of all the events. Like, we discussed this quite a lot. Like, did he mean that for that happened? The more you watch it, I think stuff happens that he can never predict, but it still almost plays into what he wanted to bring about.
Yeah.
And
well, we had a long, I wrote that piece on the 5 similarities between Batman, Superman and Captain America Civil War, and there were a lot, but in that I was trying to figure out his plan, and it's easy to do it now when you've got Wikipedia and you can rewatch it, but we were doing it on one viewing at the cinema. We were talking about it for ages, like, what exactly is he at? But then I watched it a second time, and like, actually this kind of all makes sense, where he's coming from and what he's doing.
I think he just likes the touch paper. And he's not I don't think it's that classic villain, I know every single step of this plan. He likes the touch paper, and it just almost beautifully gets out of control.
Yeah, and it does rely on coincidence, which can be problematic at some points. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Maybe you can do a great one of these movies without having to have the strongest of villains.
Also quite like it because it kind of rejects the template that you think you have to have that, which you've seen so many times.
Yeah, well, they did. We criticise the Marvel movies and the DC movies and the Fox movies for having, it being a city being torn down by something or other. And that was, it was a fight between two guys on a ledge, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's why I want more ledge-based finales.
We've learnt a lot, haven't we?
Oh, I've learnt too much this
Is there
summer.
anything else you've learnt?
No, I think that's about me. I don't do too much learning, me.
I think this would be important because I was near you when this happened in the cinema. If you've got a killer croc, don't put him on all fours at the end of the film because Krupa won't be able to deal with it.
I just couldn't.
That's your best movie moment of the year.
That image will stay with me for a long, long time. If I'm ever really down in the dumps, I'm just going to remember him scuttling. Who's made that decision on set? Someone at the end of that day.
You've got a man crocodile. You've got to put him on all fours at some point.
Do you? He's walked for the entirety of the movie. Someone looked at the rushes and gone, yeah, that's good. Print.
No, it was comic relief for you.
Am I going first? You going first?
I'm going to go first, actually. This is from George Buckley in Liverpool. He says, I can't do bullet points on my iPhone, and since the update, Apple have removed the revolver, so this is the best I could do.
The revolver?
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but he's got a little space...
Oh,
little
ray gun.
A little ray gun.
Ah,
so I like that to begin with.
Lovely.
Also, lots of good points here.
Okay.
From George. First one, more shows. I think your second show would be great. A movie TV club would be a lot of fun. This takes your 49 to 50. This is apparently the 50 votes we needed, but maybe it's too late.
What's the cut-off?
Yeah, it was that week, so the cut-off is whether we can be bothered. Number 2, ideas. I would be really interested in hearing what you thought about the animated superhero movies like Attack on Arkham and Killing Joke. Would you ever do an episode on them? We've said we will. We should at some point. We need to watch a few of them, though.
Yeah, we do that in a few weeks, maybe.
You've got Killing Joke, haven't you?
I have Killing Joke. We could watch that one
Can you
night
lend
after
it
work.
me? Yeah, oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, do a little screening.
Number 3, Drunk Show. If you're up for it, I will send a bottle of booze via Amazon to your office, and you guys can get hammered and set the world to rights.
Absolutely. Get it in.
Dale isn't here for once. The one time Dale gets mentioned.
Aww.
George says, Dale should have a drink too. The poor guy is always mentioned, but just off camera. He's the IGN equivalent of Maris from Frasier. Which I really like. He's not as good looking, Maris.
What's the closest you ever get to see Maris? I think you get to see her drinking from a straw in a box. Can we do that?
What, put him in a box?
Yeah, and you can drink some vodka.
And finally, if you could be in charge of DC or Marvel Studios for one day right now, what would you change for each? You have complete unquestioned control, and anything you did could not be undone after you left.
Oh, sweet. Power. What would I do? I would, if I was in charge of DC, I'd recast the Joker. And if I was in charge of Marvel, I would do a Moon Knight TV show.
That's very good.
And I'd walk away. There's my legacy.
If I was in charge of DC, I would make him change his name to Mango Yellow.
Sweet.
Literally. And if I was in charge of Marvel, I would put Rosario Dawson in all their films. She's good.
You're a big fan of Rosario, aren't
Yeah. He says, with Marvel, I'd start work on a hangover-style comedy with all the Avengers on a weekend in Vegas.
That's a brilliant idea.
It's a great idea, better than ours.
That's really good.
And we might come back to this in a couple of weeks when we've actually thought about it.
I really
rather
want to see
than-
that film.
Yeah, what would it be called?
No, I want to see like all, you know, like the science, all the egghead characters, all at a conference. That's what it should be. Like Reed Richards and Bruce Banner.
And the eggheads from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I think I'm going to say from Eggheads.
No, not
CJ
them.
Demui.
Not CJ. Kill the man.
Okay, this is a very serious email. This is from Adam Baker.
Wait, it's me next.
Is it?
Oh no, it's you. Sorry, you've got 2 there, haven't you?
Oh yes. Whoa! I've thrown mine away before I've even done it.
I knew because I sort out the feedback.
I'm confused. This is from Anthony from Philadelphia. I'm not saying. You keep giving me names that are hard to say.
No, I don't.
Okay, this is from Anthony in Philadelphia. Echevarria. Sorry, Anthony. A note for you guys: if you're going to rewatch Ben Affleck's Daredevil for the old superhero movie show, make sure it's the director's cut. While it doesn't completely save the movie, it does elevate it from a 5 or a 6 to a 7 or an 8. Likewise, you guys never did a show on the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman. We never did, because I never watched it.
Yes, so I was going to say that. I did watch it, I was prepped, I was ready, and Dan hasn't watched it. And we just, I don't know, we were
Life's too short.
I think the idea is we were going to do it
Differences?
before. We were going to
Yeah,
get
we've got
it in advance of it
yeah.
coming out, and we were going to talk about the differences. But now everyone's seen it, that's not as interesting. And I think, well, I've certainly said a bunch of times what I feel about it,
Yeah.
including on this show.
We'd just be retreading all ground, just for the sake of me saying
Probably
a
not
couple
going
of
to do it at
sentences.
this point, are we?
Probably not. Sorry, dude.
Blame Dan. I have an email from Don Honeycutt, which is
That's a great name.
and very easy to say. He says, please watch 1990s Punisher and Dick Tracy. Would love to hear your feedback. So I recently watched Dolph Lundgren Punisher. I have thoughts on that. And I was going to do ranking. I wanted to do ranking the Punisher movies. Although I was thinking of writing it rather than discussing it. Equally, Dick Tracy, what is your
memories of it? I think I have seen the Pacino. It's Pacino, isn't it? And it's Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen it, but when I was very young. I remember
1990. Yeah. I just remember it. It was. I went to Disney World that year.
Oh, nice.
And it was Dick Tracy was a Disney movie, and they went It was everywhere. They were desperate for it to be as big as Batman. And it just didn't work.
What age was it pitched at?
Well, that was it. It was aimed at kids, but then you had the weird, sexy stuff with Madonna.
That's what I thought, yeah.
But yeah, you had the character that was cool kid that was supposed to be, the kid's way into the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also Warren Beatty was just probably a bit old.
Yeah, funny one. Yeah, I'd like to rewatch it. This is from Adam in South Carolina. Serious email this subject. What the hell does Chris like? My question is for Chris. After watching your show for many months now, I was wondering what movie Chris likes all the way through. It seems with every compliment he may give a movie, he follows it with a criticism. So I was wondering what movie he believes is the best from beginning to end. It doesn't actually specify superhero movie.
No, I mean,
So this is a good
that's a
question.
terrific email, but it is a bit negative.
A bit like you.
So yeah, if it doesn't specify, I'm a big fan of Back to the Future. It's well documented on this site.
Yeah.
You should read Chris Tilly's top 10 movies on the site.
Ooh.
Back to the Future,
What else would be it? Like, what else is in there?
Godfather, Goodfellas, It's a Wonderful Life. Swing is a bit of a random one in there.
Oh, wow.
Caddyshack, did that make the cut? I mean, it's a terrible movie, but I love it. Superhero movies, though, I think he's probably thinking. My favourite two are The Dark Knight and Kick-Ass.
Wow. And we've also documented on the show that you're a big fan of Kick-Ass.
Big fan of Kick-Ass.
That's one of my favourite moments from every episode we've ever done.
What?
That. When I was having a drink, when you had your Kick-Ass outfit.
You spat it.
I didn't spit, I spat it out back into the cup.
What's your two favourites?
What superhero movies?
Yeah.
Oh, Christ. Probably Civil War now. Civil War and... Batman Begins. I really like that movie. I think it's brilliant. Like, I love the origin story. I love the way they did it. I love the villain. I love the finale. I like The Dark Knight, but I think it goes on a bit.
Yeah.
I don't like the final sequence in Dark Knight that much.
But for the record, my two favourite superhero movies, none Marvel.
No.
Just saying.
No. There you go. So that's feedback for this week. That's the show for this week. Email us at superheroshowign.com. And until next week, for everything on superheroes, stay on IGN.